morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 100. We're going to be talking news around sports with NFL and baseball news. Due to episode 100, we're going to do a special Mount Rushmore of sports movies since there's about 100 of them. So don't be surprised if we do a part 2, part 3, part 4, because there's a lot of those great sports movies. Lisa will join us for that one. And then we're going to give you the updates of the NBA and NHL playoffs. So let's get it started.
Yeah. I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Socks.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm here for Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers, I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes. All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
All right. Thank you for joining episode 100. We have some news going on in the NFL. Some of the schedule has came out, so we're gonna give our takes on what has came out, what the rumors are. First one I got to talk about is the Vikings playing 2 international games. Absolutely stupid. Back-to-back. They had to do it back-to-back. Let's be real. If you're over there, stay over there. But at the same time, when a division that is the hardest division in the NFL. Okay, NFC East? No. NFC North is the best division in NFL right now. The Bears are reloading. The Lions are the Lions. Green Bay is Green Bay. Minnesota is just trying to compete with that. And what do? There are 2 games over there. Like, I don't know if it's because they want more international fans, but I didn't like that one. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I seen that. I went, what do you guys do? I mean, I get because of logistics. That's why they did it. They kept them in because they're in Dublin the first week and then London the second week. Yeah. I get it, but it's just hard because now you got 2 weeks. I think I don't know how the teams work as far as who they're playing. But here's the deal, too. Now that you're over in the foreign land, I think the Jaguars have a benefit because sometimes they play 2 weeks over in London, overseas as well. So I think that sometimes is a benefit for them because they can kind of get used to that biological clock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can get used to it. Where that's an unfair advantage to the other team that has to come in and fly into London and do that. Now I think it might benefit Minnesota if you think about it. Because now their bodies are going to get used to the European time zone, or where the European lifestyle kind of deal. I think that could benefit Minnesota.
Yeah, I didn't know if they wanted to do it too because of how polarizing Justin Jefferson is. I mean, he's just so out there. He's a great ambassador of football. So I think when you think of it, it's like, well, let's get him over there and let people fall in love with. He's also great. I think he's also like the Minnesota team could be good. It just like as a Vikings fan, you're like sitting there being like, what the hell, man? I will say when we get into that season and we get into those weeks, I'm going to love it because I get to get up in the morning and watch my Vikings play. It's just you better hope you have NFL Network because there's a lot of international games this year, and I think it's only going to grow as time goes on.
Yep, I totally agree.
And then there's rumors of the first game of the year is going to kick us off with the Cowboys versus Eagles. What do you think about that one?
I get it. Why they did it is because of the NFC East. Could you pick somebody? You know what? It would have been great? A rematch of the NFC Championship, Washington and Philadelphia. I think that would have been awesome. At Philadelphia, you get the return of Jaden. You just get a return of the NFC Championship. I think that would have been better because you don't know what you're going to get with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Dak's coming off an injury. They did improve it by getting can't think of the wide receiver.
Yeah.
They got him, but Dallas is coming off a 7-10 record. What are you getting with Dallas? It's just I think that would have been a better matchup with Washington.
Yeah, I just think it's America's team, right? It's America's team.
Yeah.
It's on Thursday night Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Chiefs have now claimed themselves the Christmas team.
Mm-hmm.
So why not put the Eagles, getting their Super Bowl rings, and getting their ceremony against a team that hasn't won one in a long time, has this national, ride with them. I do think it's a good game. I think Washington, and that is as a football fan, wanted that. But when you look at like trying to bring in more, this is the game. I mean, if you name it, I think the only other game that kind of gives you that is Chicago and Green Bay to start the year off because of what Chicago's going to look like, things like that. But Jerry Jones, he's got his hand in it because he's got the NFL schedule and stuff like that. So like he's got it in the TV deal. So it makes sense there. But I think it'll be a good game depending on what the Cowboys bring to the table this year.
Well, and also the Eagles, they reloaded on defense. They did lose a few key starters on defense. So, I mean, they're going to kind of be reeling a little bit. So we're going to see how good they really are. Are they going to have a Super Bowl hangover, or are they going to come out firing?
Yeah, it's really hard for a lot of teams to do well after winning a Super Bowl.
Right.
And those teams we talk about as great teams, not just a good team.
Right.
In other news, Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals are no longer speaking anymore. We kind of saw the writing on the wall. They would have signed him earlier. Jamar Chase gets it. T. Higgins gets it. What about Trey Hendrickson? I think the Bengals were just on borrowed time. They were waiting for this, and now that it's came through, they're just not going to sign him. And then you're going to see Trey Hendrickson sit out. And then
Anthony, he's already said that.
Yeah.
He will not play 2025. Under this contract. You guys have jacked around. I'm sorry to interrupt you. He's pretty much said you've jacked around and jacked around. Screw you guys. I won't play in 2025. And you know what? I don't blame him. This organization is I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant, is a disorganized organization. The Browns, they're trying to get funding for this new stadium or renovation of a stadium that they can't get because nobody wants to pay for it. It's unbelievable. This owner is a I would put him right up there again with these, I wouldn't put him as high as Haslam and these other ones.
Yeah.
But he's damn close.
I don't know about that. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is on his later end of his career. I kind of see why the Bengals are doing what they're doing. Yes, he's had 2 past good seasons, but that's when you get paid and he doesn't have the same results. I mean, I just think what I'm surprised they didn't do is trade him before the draft and try to pick someone up on the draft. I don't understand. I don't know if it's one of these situations where they think Trey's going to eventually back down and they'll sign him for less because of how he acts and things like this, but he's not, and he's not going to play. And now you have a distraction when you're trying to say, well, last year, if we had 2 more games, we would have made the playoffs.
Right.
Well, now you got to start out hot because you have to show the difference. And you have this distraction coming in. I don't agree with what the Bengals are doing, but I see why they're doing what they're doing.
Well, he could be another like the Jets at Reddick.
Yep.
Where it ain't the same thing as because they acquired him, but he'll sit out for a while. He ain't gonna he don't care. He's probably got his bag already. I mean, not as big of a bag, but he's made his money. So I mean, you know what? Screw you guys. I'll sit for a while. Let's see how the team starts out.
Yeah. Well, in other news, this one just dropped right before we recorded. In baseball, we don't really talk about baseball. It's a long season. It's a lot to go into it. But Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson are eligible now for the Hall of Fame. So I have to give my vent on this. They're both dead. So who cares? Who cares? And it's one of these things where, like, when someone said life ban, it was like, oh, okay, so, like, when they're dead, they're eligible now? It's just dumb. Now, before everyone gets, well, Pete Rose will be in. Barry Bonds is sitting out here, not got in yet. Mark McGwire hasn't got in yet. Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens. Just remember, just because Rod Manfred or whatever says they're eligible now, the baseball writers are the ones that vote them in, okay? And they're like the guardians of the baseball. We put in only people that are true. And even when Derek Jeter doesn't get a unanimous decision and blah, 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 and all this other shit, you think they're going to vote these guys in? Not happening. It sucks because I would have loved to have Pete Rose's honest reaction to him being eligible. It would have been priceless. But instead, you guys are too big of a wusses, and you wait till after he's dead to now do this. Now, Shoeless Joe Jackson comes right because of Pete Rose, let's be honest. Shoeless Joe Jackson so long ago that people today don't even know who that is. But Pete Rose, people still remember them, and was honestly should have been in way long ago with his record. But now he's dead. Who cares? What do you think about this one?
I totally agree with you. Here's another deal too, is that, okay, maybe you put on his plaque, what he did, his accomplishments, and you also put on there, hey, He also bet on baseball too. He bet on his own team.
Nope.
Joe Jackson, he's been dead for 50, like you said, 50 years.
Yeah.
Who cares? I seen it. I'm like, I just shook my head. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, this is baseball for you. Again, you do something after somebody has passed. It's just like you don't have any balls whatsoever to say, make a statement saying, hey, we're going to let them. But like you said, it's still back to the baseball writers. And like you said, we haven't got McGuire, and we haven't got any of them steroid people in.
Yep.
And anybody that's ever cheated the game, we've never gotten them in because it's a sacred place.
Yep.
Sacred, in quotes, I quote, sacred. It ain't that sacred. That's why you are the fourth sport. Again, we've said before in the past, you're the fourth sport in this nation.
Yeah.
All around. It's sad. I'm not shocked. They're just a bunch. I don't know.
Who's three? If you're saying they're fourth, if you got basketball and football, who's third?
You know what? Popularity wise, could be soccer.
I was thinking the same thing, but
I don't think it's hockey. I don't think it's hockey, but I think it's soccer.
Yeah.
I think soccer. I think everybody, all kids are playing that right now.
Yep.
I think when the World Cup comes around, that's another, popularity.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And I asked because I was like, is he going to say soccer? But I just think when you look at this, it's annoying. I laughed because I did see someone say, what is my hot take on this? Like, I don't care. So, but that is the news that is happening right now. We'll give the updates of the NBA and NHL playoffs right after we do this Mount Rushmore of sports movies. Lisa, will you join us since you were so eager to want to be a part of the Mount Rushmore of sports movies?
Hello!
And there she is.
Oh, hey, nice shirt you got there, a little Space Jam.
Yeah,
you.
I wonder what movie will be on her
thinking
list.
that maybe, I was gonna say, I'm thinking that might hit the list.
All right, well, let's get it started on this one. Mr. Tim Cook, will you go decision on your sports of Mount Rushmore?
Anthony, I'll tell you what, this was the toughest Mount Rushmore I've ever done.
Yep.
Ever done. Because there are so many good movies. But I'm going to start out with the Bad News Bears. Not the one with Billy Bob Thornton. No. One with Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, this misfits from the Valley that, he's a pool cleaner. He likes to drink and everything. The one I remember the most, the scene is when he has the catcher, and the catcher's a relatively big kid, and he makes him throw the ball to first base, and he throws the ball and hits his windshield and busts his windshield. So the team is around him, and he goes, well, I can't remember the kid's name. I think your dad's going to pay for this windshield. And he goes, bullshit.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. So that is my number one. I can watch that every time when it gets on, but that is my number one.
All right, I like that one. I would have said the newest Bad News Bears just because that's the one more relevant to me, but
Right.
Okay. Lisa, what is your number one for the Mount Rushmore sports movies?
Well, if it isn't obvious, I'm going with Space Jam. The original Space Jam with the Michael Jordan. So that is my number one pick because obviously the back of my jersey is Lola. That's me.
Nice.
I like that one. I like that. I'm glad you didn't say LeBron because you wouldn't have slept in this house
Yeah,
tonight.
that would suck too. Yeah, that's
No.
For my number one Mount Rushmore sports movies, it's got to be Sandlot. Right off the bat, it's just a good feel movie. It's 4th of July. Every time you watch it, it's just when you grew up. You know, the dog you see now, you see the dog out in public and you're like, run because the ball's over there. We have a baseball sitting in our backyard, and I think of it like who's trying to reach over it. Such a great movie. Sandlot has to be my number one Mount Rushmore. For number two, second round, Mr. Tim Cook, what do you got for your number two for Mount Rushmore?
number two. Slapshot, Paul Newman,
Shoot.
and the cast of characters. They have the Hanson brothers.
Yep.
I know that the best part. I'm always going to say that one of the best part of the deal is when he's talking to the GM and he says, "Hey, they started playing with their cars. They brought their cars," and the guy goes, "Well, it's better than playing with their."
Yep.
And it's hilarious. It's misfits. It's about a hockey coach that tries to get them, tries to get them to play better. The attendance is down. It's a classic. You can watch it every time it's on. It might be old school hockey that maybe some of the minor leagues go through on bus trips. You know what they used to do back in the 70s and 80s? It's a great movie.
Yeah, I think for Slapshot, that was on my list, is when he goes down the line of the bench with this hockey stick. Just hits him. Or with Slapshot, you have to, when the national anthem's happening.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And the referee comes over to him and he's bleeding and he goes, that shit. He's like, the damn national anthem's happening. That part is definitely a great movie. Lisa, for round 2, what do you have for your number 2 of Mount Rushmore?
I went with one of my favorites. I'm going with Remember the Titans.
Ooh, okay.
It's a very good one. I just watched it recently, and then you said that we were doing the Mount Rushmores, and I'm like, easy. This is definitely my top one.
I like that. I'm actually going to go on the football side as well for my second round. I'm doing the Friday Night Lights. Just something about that movie reminds me of my hometown. It's just the small town feeling of what high school football means, where a lot of guys aren't going to go to college. A lot of guys aren't going to go play professional. This is your moment. Boobie Miles is amazing in this one. Obviously, you never want to see someone with injury, but that is the struggle that high school kids will go through, where it will end their fame and their biggest show. So Friday Night Lights has got to be second on my list. Round of 3. Mr. Tim Cook, what do you got for your third round?
I got The Longest Yard. Not the one with Adam Sandler. I'm sorry, everybody. No. And this is the one with Burt Reynolds in. Now, Burt Reynolds was in this Adam Sandler one as the old guy. No. The original one is the best. I mean, come on. The best part of the movie, it's got Burt Reynolds in it. He's a ex-con or got in some trouble, so the warden wants him to play football against his semi-pro team. The best part of the movie is when they got Ray Nitschke running right up the middle, and Burt Reynolds tells the line, move away, and he takes the football and rams it right down his midsection, right in the groin area. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. They have to bring the stretcher out, and the band's playing. You know, God, that is hilarious. It's a great movie. A must watch if you have the opportunity.
Yeah, I think also too I think I took his effing head off. Yeah. I think I took his head off. And then in the Adam Sandler version, they were like, I think I made him piss himself. It's like, no, you can't use that line. So I get why they didn't do it, but
right.
All right, round 3. Lisa, what do you have for your third pick?
This one's a classic. I grew up on this one. There's No Crying in Baseball, A League of Their Own.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. What is your favorite part of that one?
Ooh.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I know. Well, it's been a minute since I watched it, but
I mean, No Crying in Baseball is probably the guy to do that one.
That's like an iconic one for sure. But I don't know. I just like the entire movie's pretty iconic.
I think the best part one is when the bus stops and the bus driver gets out because of the kid.
Yeah.
And so he gets back on the bus, and the chaperone goes, Mr. Dugan, and she kisses him, and he kisses her right back.
Yeah.
And I loved you in the Wizard of Oz.
See, in that movie, it does frustrate me a little bit because of the girl that plays for the yellow team eventually.
Right.
She's just like, it just annoys me. It's like, you're not as good as your sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But that Tom Hanks is, like you talk about Bad News Bears, that is a great role for him.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. Well, I'm actually going to go baseball as well. I cannot believe this did not hit Tim's list. Major League. Now, I'm not saying which one. I'm going to say Major League in general is just such a good movie. It reminds me of the baseball version of Slapshot, where they're trying to tank the team. Obviously, these misfits become this great team. And when we talk about it, like the best part in this movie, I mean, you could either have when he's kissing the bat and he hits a home run. There's so many good parts where when they get on the plane and it's held up by duct tape. We've talked about this movie so much. I have to take Major League in this one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, it's classic. And the Corbin Bernstein that plays one of the players, he's got an eye patch on, and he's looking around when he's hearing the storm coming through.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
All right, for round 4,
Anthony, I probably spent a lot of time on this fourth one. I because there's so many of them.
Yep.
But number 4, Hoosiers.
Okay.
God, this is a teaching moment. If you watch it, as a very team building, teaching moment.
Yeah.
How he got them players to play. I mean, they were sucking, and that the one time where they didn't have enough players, and his team was out there, and he told the referee, "My team is out there," and he was about ready to be fired until their star player that hasn't played all year decides to jump in and play, and they just clicked like that. I think that is and he pretty much told him it's either me or him. I mean, either I play or if he goes, I don't play. He said I'm going to play, but he's going to be the coach.
I think there's so many movies that are made after that resemble that whole atmosphere, and Hoosiers is the start of all of that. So I definitely agree. That's a great movie. Lisa, for round 4, and please do not take mine because I think I see it on your face. What do you got for your 4th pick of the sports movies?
This is hard because I have such a long list to what's my 4th pet? It's hard, but if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Oh,
there
yes.
I'm going
That was part of my top 10 list. Yes. Yes.
Yep, definitely the best part of that movie is exactly what you just said. That or Michelle. Michelle is hilarious. Yeah. Or when he's hooked up to electricity. Yeah, yep. And remember, dodgeball is a sport, so that is a good one to bring in there.
I like it when the guy goes, I think he's dead. When he throws that ball and knocks him out, just literally knocks him out. I think he's dead.
And an interesting of that movie as well too isn't Ben Stiller married to the woman?
Yes.
That he's hitting on and stuff. So
yes.
She's disgusted by him, but in real life she's actually married. In real life she's married to him. Yeah.
When he inflates his pants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's just shoving pizza down it right before she comes in too. So
yeah.
For my 4th movie, and this one is hard, and there's a personal one for me that I watched a million times growing up that may not be the best sports movie. I have to take it, is Like Mike. It is Calvin Cambridge playing. Every kid's dream when you're little is that you're going to play professional. This little kid played professional as a little kid because of shoes that made him play like Michael Jordan. I watched this movie so much that my parents, Mom and Tony and you, every time I turned this movie on, it would keep replaying when they're playing basketball to the point where shut that damn thing off. I would wake up in the morning and my TV would be off and the Xbox would be off, and I'm like, what happened? They came downstairs because they could hear it 100 times being like, I can't go to sleep. That movie for me has to be on there. There's so many honorable mentions, but we're not going to name them. And here's why we're not going to name them. Because I think we could do a part 2 or part 3 on this. But what we will do is try to have people vote on who had the best for the Mount Rushmore of this round. And we'll keep a tally of who wins the Mount Rushmore of sports movies. Because I will say, when we've done these Mount Rushmores in the past, when we've looked them up, it's been like top 10. This one, I think it was like top 50 or top 100 of sports movies. Because we didn't even come into boxing. There's more hockey in there. There's more baseball, football, basketball. Like, there's so many more. There's actually a good soccer movie that I'm surprised Lisa didn't have in there that she will have in there in the future. Yeah, I can see that smile. But we will put in there who won. So, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us for episode 100. We have to move on to basketball and NHL updates. We're going to go to our correspondent. Thank you, Lisa. Our correspondent, Mr. Tim Cook. Give me the basketball updates as I have not watched anything.
Okay, so far we've got 4 games still left. 3 of the 4 are at 3-1 in the series. Cleveland and Indiana. Cleveland took game 3. Mitchell had 43. They finally got their people back, and they looked a lot better. Game 4, I mean, they just didn't look very. I mean, it was close until they had the brouhaha, where one guy decided to punch. I can't remember. Tyrone Jerome. He pit this not Halliburton, but he's a role player.
Yeah,
he's off the bench. Punched him. He go back and shove him, and they end up ejected the one that took the punch. So that was a big, and I think that sparked them. At one time, Indiana was up by 40 at that time.
Yep,
and that was not good. I think that Indiana's just too much for Cleveland now. In game 5 or game 4, Cleveland just they just ain't got enough. I mean, they just and now Mitchell's got a bum ankle, and he's questionable for Game 5, which is going to be played tonight as we tape. So the Knicks in Boston. Oh, we've got a little bit of a. That's another 3-1 series. Boston came into New York, spanked them. Got they start hitting their threes, and then last night, Boston started coming out and they hit their threes, and I'm watching. I'm thinking, holy cow, this might go back 2-2. I think Boston's right back in it, and Boston was up by I think 13 at the half, and the Knicks just turned it on in the third and fourth quarter. They ended up turning the tables. By the time that Jason Tatum got hurt, which was I think a few minutes into the fourth quarter, they'd had a 9-point lead. They were down by as much as 13 in the third quarter, and they were up by 9 when that injury hit. So they did a 22-point swing, which now I just seen today. Tatum had a ruptured Achilles, so he's done for at least a year. So I mean that's a big one. Game 5 will be Wednesday night, so we'll report on that. Denver and OKC, they play again tonight. Denver won in overtime as Aaron Gordon hits another key shot, his third one. He's either tied or take the lead in that game. Game 4, it was back and forth. And finally in the fourth quarter, OKC took over. A very close game, back and forth. And sealed it. Now the series is tied 2-2. But Jokic looks tired. Yep. And I found out today he's got a bum elbow. So they said he's got a sleeve on it right now. But if you took that sleeve off, he's got a knot on it so big that it would scare the hell out of you. Yeah. So, I mean, he just looks tired. I think the whole team looks tired. And you can just tell that OKC is they're young. So they're going to do good. And then the last one, Minnesota and Golden State. Minnesota won Game 2 against Golden State. Curry goes down now with a bad hamstring. They don't know when he's going to be back. And then Ant goes down in the second quarter, and he has a match game. It just seems like when this guy gets hurt, he just can turn it on just like that, In Game 3, they had it was all about runs. Minnesota got on a run. Golden State would counter. And that by the halftime, and then Game 3, I think it was Game 3. This is the series. I have 3 games. That was the first time in 18 years that Golden State did not hit a 3-pointer in the first half.
Whoa. Without
Curry. So that's a big one. Pretty tight throughout it. But, they end up losing. They just look – without Curry, it's over. I think the Dubs are done. And now Jimmy Buckets is hurt as well. So this is not good as well. So, I mean, I think they play tonight. So this could be over tonight. I mean, Minnesota just looks and Randall had 61 points the last game between the two. They're just tearing it up. I don't think Golden State's got a shot at this.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think looking at this, you wish Jimmy Butler was who he is, but he's such a good role player. He's not the star.
No. Not now he's not. He's too old to be the star, so.
In other news in basketball, outside of playoffs, we had the draft lottery yesterday. And with a 1.8% chance, the Dallas Mavericks get it. Now, I'm going to let you go real quick. What do you think about that one?
That was the third shortest odds of winning a number 1 pick since they've went to this. Nico Harrison, don't screw this up. You've got a reprieve from the basketball gods. Don't screw this up.
Okay. Now, 1 sec. Okay, I'm ending you there. That's quick. My conspiracy theory is the NBA knew that they had to give him Cooper Flag to there because of all the bullshit that happened this year with them possibly moving to Vegas, all the fans being mad, blah, blah, blah. He had to go. Now watch this. They've already said that they're going to draft him, but they're going to trade. They're going to trade that number 1 pick because you know who needs a trade right now? Giannis. And they're going to say defense, and they're going to trade for it. Just watch. I'm telling you right now, conspiracy theorists, they did this on purpose.
Anthony, I don't think so. I think that them people in Dallas will revolt and burn that building down if he trades them. Now, don't get me wrong; they really don't need a Cooper Flagel, which is a wing person, because they're heavy on that. But you don't trade this guy. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't go after Giannis. You know what? You know who else? And you let go after Giannis? San Antonio, that's got 2 picks in the first round, or Houston. Let those two, because Houston is right there. they're one good player away from being at least in the finals.
Yeah,
at
but
least in the conference finals.
Dallas is going to call. Or, I mean, Milwaukee's going to call Dallas. They're going to call.
Oh, yeah. Well, why not? Why would you not listen? Too.
All right, and NHL updates real quick. Where are we at? Carolina is up 3-1 on Washington. Washington tied it up 1-1 last Thursday. Carolina won the last two, including last night. Carolina is just playing so much faster. They're putting more pucks on net. I know the bruisers of Washington are there, but Carolina just doesn't look scared. They're moving faster. They're better on their power plays. Ovechkin is doing everything he can to keep this team going with, another it was either power play or just a regular score yesterday. That I would never want to be a goalie when Ovechkin's hitting shots like that. Jesus
Anthony,
Christ.
they're just putting so much pressure on that Thompson and that Anderson. They're not doing they're not putting any pressure on Anderson.
Yep. And Edmonton is up 3-1 on Las Vegas. Edmonton won in overtime on Thursday to go up 2-0. Vegas stole Saturday night to make 2-1. Edmonton won last night as Las Vegas just seemed to step behind. It was just there was easy plays in the middle of the front of the net. It just felt like they were like, okay, well, we won last game, so we'll just win this game. Well, that's not how playoffs work. And Edmonton's got too many great, not just good players, great players. And it seems like they're just repeating I think they went to the Stanley Cup last year. It's just they know what they're going into. With them being up 3-1, I think that series is over, and I think Carolina's series is over as well. Florida and Toronto are tied up at 2-2. Florida won Friday and Sunday to tie this series up. That means all of the road teams every home team has won in these games. This is the most interesting series. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you got the Toronto and with what happened in the Four Nations with Tkajuk and all that situation, but also just the way the games are playing. It's getting more physical. And they're allowed a couple of the fights that have happened in there. I think Wednesday night, which we'll talk about on Thursday, Wednesday's night game will decide the series. If Florida can steal it, Florida's going to win this. But if Toronto wins, I think Toronto wins this series. I think this next game, you cannot play the home team wins because then Florida, you're behind the 8 ball in this series. Yeah. Dallas goes up 2-1 on Winnipeg. Jets won on Friday to tie up the series 1-1. Dallas won on Sunday to go up 2-1. They play tonight. If Dallas wins tonight, goes 3-1. 3 out of the 4 series would be at 3-1. I kind of said this earlier in this round. I thought that some of these teams are just going to pull away because they're better. I didn't expect this kind of difference. I think Dallas wins tonight, goes up 3-1. That Howelberg, or whatever his name is, the goalie, it just seems like he's good for so long. And then, that last game, it was like they were winning, and then he gives up 3 goals, nothing happened. I think whoever wins tonight, or if Dallas wins tonight, it's over. 3-1. I would be surprised if the Jets come back, but they gave the Blues a run for their money. I just think they gave everything they had to beat the Blues, and now they're coming to a Dallas Star team that's just better than them in all aspects.
Eventually, Haliburton's got to win on the road. If they're going to go anywhere in this playoffs, Haliburton, he's got you now because they won one at Winnipeg. So he's got to come up big on a road game. And tonight has got to be the night. You go down 3-1. Yeah, you might win game 5 at Winnipeg, but you're still got to get a win on the road. So he's got to find a road win. And he's terrible on the road so far. I think he's given up over 20 goals in the 4 games that they played.
Yeah.
I mean, he's terrible.
No, I definitely agree. And I think the hockey series, I hope the next round goes better. But a lot of these 3-1s, I think, are ending. I mean, we're talking they won't end by Thursday because there's only tonight's games and a couple more tomorrow night. But I think by next Tuesday, we're talking about round 3 already. And I think mathematically it would happen that way anyways. But hopefully you see it. If there is a series you need to be watching right now is Florida and Toronto. That games are just so intense. I mean, they had overtime, not the last time they played, but the one before. Yeah. But that is episode 100. We thank Lisa for joining us. We gave you some of the updates in the NFL and baseball, gave you the updates of the playoffs, and gave you the Mount Rushmore of sports movies. Vote on it. We will have it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. So we want to thank all our fans. Episode 100, crazy to think about, but we'll be back for 101 on Thursday. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on Friday.